Hi, Ruby. I'm Sarah from the Coming. Such a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Maybe you could kick off with a brief introduction to this incredible horror film. What can people expect when they watch Baghead?
Expect a fright, I suppose. We'll lead with that. Expect a fright. Um, expect good on-screen chemistry between the cast as well. I mean, we really hit it off on a personal level when we met. That really informed our performances. We had a really good time together. So expect to see some good dynamics between the characters because we had a good time. Expect like a good sound score in the background, like sound informs so much in horror films and like frightening people. And just some, just really cool, great actors. There's some amazing people like Peter Mullen, he's involved. Ned Dennehy, he was in one of my favourite films, which was Mandy. It was a Nicolas Cage film, and he played like this mad cult leader in that. Really scary. And he's also in like Peaky Blinders and stuff, and he's just genuinely a really, really funny guy in general. And also like Saffron Burrows is stunning. Some fantastic German talent as well, because we shot it in Berlin. So working with artists, Svenja, people that I'd never worked with before, because in European cinema and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really cool cast. Really cool creatives behind it. It's a great idea. It's a really like arresting concept. A witch that can bring back the dead for a few minutes. You can bring back somebody. What do you say? Who do you bring back? So yeah, it's titillating for the mind. I don't know. It's a really cool idea, and there's really cool people involved.
You know, Obviously, complete jump in genre from the likes of Bridgerton as a series. Had you always wanted to do a horror film? Did you have some favorite movie maybe you watched when you were younger or growing up? Or was it something quite new for you?
Yeah, it was something new for me as a genre because I've always been a scaredy cat. When I was younger, I literally couldn't watch the scary movie franchise because I was that scared. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole point that it was a spoof and a joke was totally lost on me. I mean, I was like 10, do you know what I mean? But really scared me. But doing a horror film as an actress, it's a rite of passage. I think so many cool actresses have done horrors, earlier on in their careers and later on as well. And yeah, I've always been fascinated by horror because it's like horror as a genre is like it's like the roller coaster of cinema, right? And I've always been fascinated by them. I can't watch them on my own. I cannot do it. Um, I went to go see, Scream. Yeah, it was the number five. I went to go see that in the cinemas. And one of my best mates was like, come on, calm down. I was like, you're joking. He's like, no, it'll be fine. Anyway, so we go into the cinema. This was at Westfield in Shepherd's Bush. And we're sat in there, and it was just the opening of the film. The phone rang, and I like screamed the most like curdling scream. The whole cinema was like, oh, and then everybody just burst out laughing. And I was just like, nah, man, I'm never watching a horror film probably in public in the cinemas again, other than Baghead. Um, but then I used to, when like HMV, when you were a kid, you go in, see all the DVDs, the horror film sections. I remember seeing them thinking, oh my God. And there was this one that I really wanted to watch, but the poster, it was just too scary. It was The Mist, right? I watched The Mist with my younger sister about a few weeks ago, and I'd really worked The Mist up in my mind as a young person that this was going to be terrifying. I'd die inside. And I watched it, and it was kind of scary, but it was hilarious as well. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize that it was about tentacles outside and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, like horror's just cool. It's a cool genre. I enjoy it. I enjoy the thrill, but I can't do it alone.
And one of the things I love about the movie, and I guess some of the best horrors, is of course, you've got the supernatural elements, etc., etc. But it also feels very grounded in the characters and their relationships. So, in particular, I guess working with Freya on, this friendship between Katie and Iris and how they're kind of bouncing off each other, but then, without spoilers, come through for each other in the end. So what was it like working with her and I guess developing that dynamic between you?
Yeah, it's fabulous. Freya she's really cool. She's a great actress. She's really good actress. She's funny. Absolutely adore her. I think she's amazing. She's really fun to watch. She's cool to watch. She's a little bit younger than me. She's in her early 20s and that. And yeah, she's really inspiring, as an artist as well. Just watching how she does it, where she goes to, how she does it with ease, right? And with grace. And it was the reason why I did Baghead was because she was playing Iris. It was really cool, the project and everything. It was like awesome. And then the minute I heard it's Freya that's attached, no question, because I wanted to work with her. I'd seen her in The Witcher, and there was one scene in particular. It was one of the first scenes she was in, but it was one scene in particular which sort of like locked her in on my mind. It's actually this kid's great, right? And it was the scene where she was like saying goodbye to her mother in the show. Her mother was passing away, and there was just this shot of her hand, right? And it was this shot of her hand, and it was just trembling slightly, but it wasn't like mechanically acted. And honestly, this whole scene, and it was just this moment, this little moment, which elevated her in my estimations as this is a kid that is seriously talented. She's so young on this show, and she's clearly gone in, and that's why she's special. That's why she stands out. She takes her job really seriously, right? And I remember when I first met her, I told this to her. I said, this scene, it was this specific scene. And her eyes lit up, and she was really, really happy because she says, I'm really glad you noticed that and you picked up on that, because that's something that I'd been thinking about and considering a lot. So it's cool that you saw that. And then that's when we sort of really started to hit it off, just like on an artistic level, but then like really getting on as well, personally, having a nice time. So yeah.
And of course, it being a horror, there are some, terrifying scenes. What is it like being on set, filming these? I mean, I know, it's kind of a hybrid. Some of it's there in front of you, some of it will be added in with CGI afterwards. But maybe that's a challenge in and of itself. So what were some of the most difficult scenes, do you think? And on the flip side, what were some of the most rewarding moments?
Some of the most difficult scenes, I would say, is like the sort of the physical stuff where you're like moving around and you're scared. Do you know what I mean? Where you're moving, or you're sort of running or stumbling, and obviously it's dark and there's a lot going on, because you've got to be in the emotion in the moment and really throw yourself into it, and at the same time not break your face, right? So yeah. And then you've got to be conscious of cameras, moving around, steps, stuff like that, hitting certain points. It's technical, right? So you've got to hit all of this stuff, but you've got to be conscious of it at the same time as being within the moment and within the scene. So that's sort of like the challenge. The rewarding part of it, the making of the whole film itself, was rewarding. Every part of it is rewarding. It was really fun.
And I guess I was talking to Alberto earlier, like a lot of horrors. Okay, there are the scares, the terrifying nature of it, but it can also be a vehicle to explore some really interesting themes, particularly in this film, about grief and how we react to grief, and that longing perhaps to speak to people, or those unanswered questions that you might have. So what do you think, there is to take away from the film in those sort of respects, in those sort of themes?
I think what people should take away from the film is really that they're not alone in wanting these answers, in wanting to explore that, and that grief is something that unites us all, in a world right now in particular where so many people, so many groups, we're all sort of women, men, schools of thought and religion and different denominations and classes and all of this stuff. We're literally like pinned against each other. Do you know what I mean? divide and conquer, right? Grief is something that unites us. Do you know what I mean? As people, it brings out our humanity. It's something that none of us can escape. We all share grief of different levels and across all different times of our life. And grief is something that unites us, not just in regards to death and losing a person and a loved one, but it can be like relationships ending or saying goodbye to a job or a moment. I certainly grieve, not the end of the making of Baghead. We're sort of looking back and going, that was a real like gem and highlight in my life. The time that I spent on this film, the time that I spent with Freya, with Jeremy, and everybody else in the cast. And the crew as well, like Kima and stuff. Andrew, one of the producers, Andrew and Alex with America. Honestly, it was just great. Like, I grieve that. We all grieve. And that's kind of what Baghead is about. It's kind of what it explores, like in a horror.
And kind of looking back over, such a range of different things already, the film, how to stop a recurring dream, of course, your time on Bridgerton, which I know wasn't without its challenges. I was also reading that you did The Princess Bride. It's one of my favorite stories ever. So, what have you taken from all those experiences? What have been some of the best moments? And what are you hoping to do next? How will you sort of feed that into the decisions you'll be making of what career steps you'll take next?
Yeah, so across my career and stuff like that, and looking back at like mistakes I maybe made, things that I did that I'm really proud of. It's sort of like, all of it. I've done all sorts of stuff from theatre, voice work, those films, Bridgerton, obviously, Baghead. It's really helped inform me, about who I actually want to be, like as an artist. And who I want to be to people as well at work. I'm not really interested in being like a leading lady or anything. That wasn't necessarily the case in my early 20s. That was something that I was kind of gunning for. I don't want to be, Zendaya, or I don't want to be like Natalie Emmanuel. There's only one Natalie Emmanuel. There's only one Zendaya, and there's one Ruby Barker. And what I aspire to be after all of these different experiences of different levels is just somebody that is really reliable, a really good time on set, a good person to work with. Do you know what I mean? A good supporting actor. That is all I want. Do you know what I mean? I want people to have a nice time around us, and because I know I can do my job and I can do it well. All I need to really think about is how I being conscious of my mental health, but also being conscious of other people's mental health as well. Also getting good at the down times and stuff like that. Like I had an old agent who said to me, I didn't really understand it at the point, but she said, Ruby, 1% of this job is actually when you're stood on that marker and they say action and I go blur, right? That's 1% of this job. The other 99% of this job is how you take care of yourself. It's how you take care of each other. Do you know what I mean? It's how you stay in shape. It's how you go out and you live and you read different things and you absorb different art and you just live life to inform what you're bringing to the table. The job is how you move around a set experience and how you engage with people. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody in all these jobs, we all work so hard to be there. Because something about cinema and television and storytelling captured our hearts, captured our minds and our passions when we were very young. And it's where we felt safest and it's what we enjoyed the most. And it's what so many people need to feel comfortable, to switch off from the, the mundane, to lose themselves in a different world and an idea, to turn a mirror on society and things are going on and help them come to terms with stuff in life. Like that is what we do as artists, as storytellers. It's a privilege to be in the industry, right? It's a privilege to get the opportunity to do work like this. I just wanna move forward and be a good supporting actor when I get the opportunity to.
Amazing. Well, many a wise words spoken there. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And I can't wait for everyone else to see Baghead. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. See you later.